Hello everyone, this is Diane. Thank you for coming to my channel today, Pretty Pink Cottage. I've been working on these picnic themed journals, and if you saw a few videos back, I made covers with using these beautiful pieces of vintage tablecloth fabrics, and then I added some other cotton fabrics to it. There's a whole video on collaging these, and I used these heavy-duty file folders, vintage file folders. They're very thick. They're file dividers, actually, to go inside a filing cabinet. So I could use a piece of this cut off to make the spine, but I think I'm going to just use a flexible file folder. I like to use them sometimes just to give it a flexible spine. I know I have done a lot of videos showing putting the covers together with the spine, but someone asked me at the beginning of this, when I did this, if I was going to show putting it all together. So I will. I have to do it anyway. I have to make the covers, so I will just turn on the camera. I'll just do one at a time, right? So I'll set these pieces aside. I have the signatures pretty well decorated and pockets filled, but they're not done. I still have to go back and add some more things into the pockets and do a little more decorating. You can't see them, but I have all lined up in front of me some leftover things that didn't get used that I want to use. So I do have to go back and do some more. But I have enough done that I could determine that a 2-inch spine is going to work. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I had to get my signatures back so I could do that. Usually I have them pretty well done, like everything in the pockets and whatnot, so I know how thick the signature is going to be. And then I place the covers around the signatures, and I line them up on my board here with a comfortable, I'm not squeezing it in, I'm letting it relax. And I have one cover, I have the covers 2 inches apart on the board, and it's comfortable. It's not going to pop open, and there's still room to add a few things. So I'm going to go ahead with a 2-inch spine. I do that because I don't like to make gator mouth journals, and some of you like them, some of you enjoy them. I'm not saying I don't like a gator mouth journal if it's not too bad, but I don't tend to make them that way. So I'm going to just cut my hanging file folder so you can actually watch the whole thing, my whole process for doing this. Once I get the file folder cut, the process for putting the journal together would be exactly the same if I was using a piece of this. I would have cut this to 2 inches by the height of the journal cover, and I would treat it the same as this. That was hard to do, so I'm going to just do one layer, 2 inches. And I have 2 journals, so I will do 2 of them. And I have all of this left over to make things with. It's fun to make tags with that also. Now, I want it to be the exact height of my journal cover. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but I stand it up so that the bottom of the spine is on the table, and then I'm just going to make a mark at the top of the book. There and there. And then try to see it on this dark material. let's see, I'm going to err on the side of caution and cut it where it might be a little too high, too tall, so I can trim it down if I need to. Yes, I do need to. So it is, I know I could have measured the book, 9 inches. I could have measured the cover, but sometimes it's an odd, like it's not right on the number. So, especially if I'm using a vintage book cover, but these were cut to size. I'm going to set this spine with the other cover so I don't lose it. Now I'm just going to work on these. So with these, I want to make sure I have them right side up. So this is the front. This edge is not wrapped with the fabric, so it's a raw edge because I knew I'd be covering it. So yeah, that's the front and that's the back, and they're both right side up. Now I was thinking that if I had wrapped it all around, like I did without thinking about it, I did on the very first cover that I made. I folded the fabric around it, all around. But if I had done that on all of the pieces, I could have put the fabric that's going to cover the spine, I could have put that on the inside. I could have, no, I'll have to figure that out another day, because I'm not going to try to confuse you and me by talking about what I could have done. Right now, we're just going to put this together, because when I put the fabric on, it's going to cover up part of the cover. But I took that in consideration when I made the cover. I knew that I'd be covering some of it. So now I'm going to line the bottom of my book cover up at the one of the lines on my grid here. And then I will continue to line things up at the bottom. But with the first one, I make sure I have it lined up with a line at the side too. But with the next ones, I make sure the bottom is lined up, but then I use this to help line up the side. And there is a very small gap in between so that the cover can open and close freely. I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to put my tape on before I line everything up, because I'm just going to have to move it. Sorry for the reach. That's where my red tape is. I might have to go to get another spool of it out. Oops, got stuck. This is what I use. I think you can just use Fabri-Tac glue. I think that works well enough. But I've always used this, so I continue to use it. So I put it at the edge, the inside edge of my covers, and then I put it on all around the spine, all 4 sides of the spine. Yep, I'm going to need to go get another. It's right behind me. I don't have to go anywhere. This tape is available at the big box craft stores, and I think most of them have their own brand. This is Hobby Lobby, This is the cheapest one because got up. It was like $2.99 when I first started buying it. At every craft store, it was $2.99, and then it went up to $3.50. But now at Hobby Lobby, it's $1.49. So if you can get it at Hobby Lobby, do so. You can also get it on Amazon. I use the 1/4 inch width. It comes in 1/8, 1/4, 1/2, and it might even come in 1 inch or even bigger. But I use the 1/4 inch. I ordered the 1/8 inch by mistake from Amazon, and I still have some of that because I just don't use that skinny stuff. Press it down real good. You can use your bone folder or something else if you want to. It's more important to do that, press it down really well, if you're using chipboard, because the tape, if the tape starts to come up instead of just the liner, it peels a layer of the chipboard with it. Especially if it's old chipboard, like a book board, when I'm using a vintage book cover. Now I'm just trying to get that red layer up because it is clear, it's not red once you remove that liner. There we go. There's that piece. I'll have a busy weekend. I'm hoping to get, today's Thursday, I'd like to get these journals done tomorrow, but I don't know if I will. Because Friday evening, I'm going to be going to my daughter's. If it's not raining, they want to do a campfire in their backyard. You know, they have a fire pit. And I go whenever they invite me to one of those because I love campfires. So I'll be doing that Friday, hopefully. And then Saturday is my daughter's birthday, and we are going to go back to Cooperstown. Well, Cooperstown. I haven't been there, but she has. Recently, they did that rail bikes. I told you about that before, I think. But they want to go back and do a train ride with a train robbery at the end of it. An enactment of a train robbery. I just want to go for the train ride. I love train rides. And so we're doing that for her birthday. And that'll be an all-day thing, probably. Well, when we get home, I'm going to trim. There's a little extra fabric hanging off there. I'm going to trim that off. When we get home from that, I'm making her a cake. And she requested a white cake with Cool Whip instead of frosting and strawberries. We don't have fresh strawberries anymore. I mean, not locally grown. So I'll just have to buy some from the grocery store. So, get that put together for her and we'll have her little birthday cake. So now I'm going to add Tyvek here. These envelopes from the post office in the U.S. are made of Tyvek. But if you get a package in the mail in one of these, cut it up, save it, cut it up, and use it. Do not go to the post office and take these just to cut up, because that's illegal. That's confiscating government property. But if it's just, it's something that you've received in the mail, it's already been used for its intended purpose, you can cut it up. But you can also get them from Amazon in a sheet. So that's what I'm doing, and I usually cut this before I have all the tape on and have them all lined up. But it's 2 inches here and a little gap, and then I want it to extend over onto there. So I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it 3.5 inches just to be safe. Make sure I have enough. I can always cut some off of it if it's too wide. I was talking too much and forgot to get this cut and ready. And 9 inches tall, so I'm just going to make it just under 9 inches so it's not hanging off the top. Okay, so these are still lined up. It's going to be a little tricky because I can see there's a curve up here. This is lifted up off the table, and I don't want to rock it. So what I do is I just lay it down without moving the boards. That looks good. And it's flexible. Let's put some signatures in there and see how it all looks. We still have to, cover up the bare stuff. Yeah. It's a nice, comfy journal. Okay, moving on. I did select some fabric, and I already tore it to the width I want so that you wouldn't have to watch me. I had quite a big quantity of this, and I thought this went well with the picnic theme and with the colors I have. So I tore it. It might be too wide because I don't want to cover too much of the front cover. Yeah, I think I'll be cutting some of that, but first I'm going to cut it to the right length. So I'm wrapping it around. It will have to come up over the edge. This is going to be on the inside. I'm just getting the length right. And then wrap it around and overlap them. Now this is very ravelly, and it is the right length, but I will cut it a little bit smaller, narrower. Let's try that. I'm going to cut it about the width of the Tyvek. Let's see how that looks on the front. Yeah, that's not covering too much. That looks good. Okay, so now I put it so that I'm going to wrap the bottom up like that. So it's just a little piece that's going to wrap up. And then when I cover it with this, the raw edge is facing down near the bottom. I just think that's the least conspicuous place for it. That's how I've done it for years. Sorry about that. Another spam call. I'm going to put my paper back down because I'm using glue. Don't want to get my mat all gluey. So I'm just going to put glue on this little flappy part that's going to come up. I just filled a glue bottle. There it is, and I didn't put the pin back in. I have to buy some more Fabri-Tac because I didn't have enough to fill both bottles. Just set this one aside because it's almost empty. Okay, now I want to make sure I glue on the outside spine, so I just kind of hold my bottle here where the top of my book cover is, so I know where to put the glue. I don't want to put the glue on all of it yet because I'm going to flop this over the outside, and I'd be flopping that glue part onto my table. Make sure I get the edges, and then I just put some in the middle. And you don't have to cover the raw edges. I normally do, but you don't have to. Depends on the look you want. See if it looks straight. Looks good. Now I'm going to make sure it's the right length. I don't want it to be too long. So when I stretch it down, like press it down, I'm not really stretching it, but when I press it down, this isn't quite straight, so this edge hangs down almost to the bottom. So I'm just going to trim a little bit. I don't want a raw edge hanging off the bottom. I did not select fabric or paper for the end papers. I'll have to do that. Didn't even think about that. So there's the bottom edge. I think rickrack would be a good trim to put on the outside. Or a white lace would be pretty also. Let's see, I think I have, yeah, I got rickrack right here. Let's do white rickrack. I think that would show up better. There's one. Those are vintage. Can't find the end. I mean, I found the end. I don't know how it's tucked in. There we go. Yeah, that looks good with the white rickrack. I like that. Use my Fabri-Tac again for my trim. Oops. Okay, that looks good. Now, I need some paper on the outside. I think I'd rather do paper than fabric on the inside. So I need to find some paper that would work. I don't know if I want this paper pad. We have greens and blues and reds. Let's see, the signature. It's going to be like that. So I want red or tan or green, not blue, because there's no blue on the front or the back of the signatures. But there is blue inside the signatures. There's a pretty blue in the digital kit that I used. That looks like a tablecloth, a vintage tablecloth. That would be nice. Let's just go with that. I don't know if I'll need to. I don't know if I need to cut it wider than 6 inches. So I got 2 pieces out just in case. I don't usually measure. I lay it on my cover like I want it to go that far, so a little bit of the fabric shows. I don't want it to go right to the edge. And papers and books show a little bit of margin. And then this is where the fold is, so I want it to go over the fabric some. And then I move it down and then slide it over so I can see how high I need to have it so that there's still a little bit of a margin. Did that make sense? You can measure, of course, if that's what you prefer to do. So that's my pencil mark, and that has it at 6.5 inches almost. So I'm going to need both pieces of paper, and I just cut off the other mark that I made. So this is the part that I cut off, but I'm going to use it for a guide. I don't usually do that. Again, I could measure. Okay, that's where I want my paper. See if I did it right. 6.5 is actually too wide. 6 might have been good. I'm going to cut it at 6. I could have just used one piece of paper. Yes, because even that's a little too wide. Why did I do that? Better too wide than not wide enough, right? Okay, that works. Now I just have to cut another piece this size. So it is almost 6, not quite, by 8 3/4. So make sure I have it right side up. Not that I don't think it matters much with this paper. And just glue it down. sure it's pressed down into that glue really well. Where'd my other paper go? I probably put it aside. Right, there it is. Teddy was here yesterday, my grandson. He mowed my lawn and did a little cleaning for me. He's my per diem man this summer. He told me he would be. I asked him if he would. So whatever chores, I mean, I could have done the chores that I asked him to do yesterday, but he's trying to earn money. So he came and did some chores, and he's 12. He'll be 13 in November. So he can be alone. His 17-year-old brother is home while his parents are working, while their parents are working. So they don't need a babysitter, but Teddy just would like company. He doesn't want to, his brother's not very much company because he's 17. Hangs out in his room all the time. So I bring him here. He does some work for me. I make lunch for him. We hang out. We'll watch a movie. I'll be in here working some, and he's, playing games. He does a video game with one of his friends online. But at least he's here with somebody. So anyway, we were watching a Disney movie, and then we had to stop. We don't watch it all in one sitting because we have other things to do. Now I want to put a book plate. That's the word I'm looking for. There, and a pocket in the back. Let's see if I have any book plates that are appropriate. I like that one. I'm looking for two because I have 2 journals, but I guess that's the only... Oh, there's another one. There. That's all taken care of. And I'm thinking of a library pocket. So I have these vintage ones. And, oh, I got more than one. What can I use to decorate? I have this dictionary piece. It's a little bit too long. And I have this piece that that Sarah gave me. I could trim that to fit. That might work. So anyway, we had watched a movie, and then we were coming back to start watching it again, and the remote was missing. Or no, we were going to stop it, and I couldn't find the remote to stop it. It's a streaming service, Disney Plus. So it's not like I have a CD player that I can actually touch the machine and stop it. And we were looking all over for that remote. He got looked under the couch, and I said, Teddy, this is my life. This is what I do, spend half my day doing in my craft room. What happened to that thing I just had in my hand? We did find it. It was down in the couch cushions. So yeah, that is my life, and it's frustrating. Center that the way I want it, and then trim it. These images came from a Bobbsey Twin book. And Sarah knew that I was going to be making a picnic journal. So she sent those to me. And she sent me the ant fabric that I use to make pockets, along with some other things. So thank you, Sarah. I'm using up the picnic items that you sent me. That just crunched up. Now this one, the title of the chapter was A Country Picnic, so I don't know if I can use that, but I'm going to try to. Let's see. Yeah, I can. This part is not part of constructing the cover, but I need to do this stuff and I still have time on my video, so we're just going to keep going. This is decorating the cover once it's constructed. I usually put my book plate way up there, but I think I'm going to move it down today. I'll put it there. Now, a picnic journal could just be a summer journal, or you could write about memories of picnics from your childhood on up. Got a little excess glue coming out, so I'm trying to rub it off. It's pretty good. Now, I think this will look better if I trim that word off and have a pretty pattern behind it. I could put this up at the top. I've got some scraps. I like it better with the green. Okay, now this little pocket is 2.5 by 3 3/8. So I'm going to make it a little smaller than that. Why can't I pick things up? Oh, I made a mistake there. So I'm going to go ahead and use, wait, here's another piece. I'm just going to trim that a little bit. This is pretty close to the size I need. Oh dear, my glue is dripping on my mat. Yeah, I'll need a little strip of this, bigger than that, for the top, and then I can put this on it. There. I think that's cute. And I will find a library card to stick in the pocket. Okay, and then I'll just ink this a little bit. Okay, now this library pocket is on, it's adhesive backed, it's on a paper, but I am going to apply glue to it. It is vintage. I don't know how old, but I don't trust the adhesive. I got a whole box full of these at the flea market last year. I think it was last year. This is all my library pockets and library cards. I think I have enough. For now, I'll just stick that in there. I might embellish it somehow. But this cover is ready to receive its signatures. I'll sew them right into the spine. The stitches will show. And there we go. I hope that was helpful to you. I think this is a nice looking cover. You just have to make the second cover and finish embellishing the pages and filling the pockets, and I can sew the signatures in. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I hope you are having a creative day today. Bye-bye.